I'm over there with the sign.
Today at the Children's Hospital at Memorial, Rachel is celebrating the end of an ordeal that no child ever wants to experience. She's just completed chemotherapy. The Children's Hospital is celebrating with her because this is the only facility in the region where a child can receive cancer care.
This is the germ, and that's me shooting a burn arrow with fire on it.
And what's the germ called? Tell him.
Cancer.
Across the hall, Samuel is graduating from chemo too, and alongside of him are the medical staff and child life specialists whose role is to eliminate fear and normalize the strange and scary place a hospital can be. These are just two of the 55,000 children who will be treated at the Children's Hospital this year with the specialized care that's only available at Memorial. That specialized care was critical to the Ingram family just 3 years ago. It was a summer afternoon and Jackson Ingram was playing on the swing set in his backyard, not knowing that it had corroded in the salty air.
And the whole thing just collapsed, and the big part of it came down on Jackson's head.
LifeStar flew to Beaufort to get Jackson. Their advice was grim.
Asked us if we had said a prayer. That's basically what you need to do because there's nothing we can do.
That morning, the question of whether or not Savannah had a pediatric neurosurgeon would have been the furthest thing from Ashley and Heather's minds. By the evening, it was the only question that mattered.
Typically with patients with this type of an injury and a GCS of 4, we're looking at about a 20% chance of survival. And whenever he came into the trauma bay, he was noted to have unequal pupils as well, which probably decreased the likelihood of a full recovery to somewhere between 5 and 10%.
Dr. Will Thompson performed the surgery to repair Jackson's head. And then the long silent wait began.
His eyes were open, but he would stare at the wall.
For 3 months, Jackson stared at the wall until one morning he got up hungry. And Heather figured that if he could do one thing, then just maybe...
I said, Jackson, can you say Mama? And I hadn't heard his voice for 2 months. And he said, Mama.
The surgery that Dr. Thompson performed on Jackson Ingram saved his life. From Memorial, he went to Atlanta for therapy, where improvement continued. Until now, he's a normal, no, above normal, exuberant 13-year-old boy.
2 years old, and she had gotten sick on a Friday.
Unlike Jackson's emergency, Sydney Richardson's relationship with the Children's Hospital began when she was only 2 years old. Featured here in a Children's Miracle Network story from 2005, Sydney is Tracy and Michael's first baby.
As first-time parents, it was very traumatic.
When Memorial's pediatric hematologist diagnosed her with sickle cell disease, her mom was afraid they'd lose her.
We didn't know if Sydney was going to actually make it or if what damage had been done to her organs.
Sickle cell is incurable. Even though 2-year-old Sydney is now 15-year-old Sydney, the threat persists.
This past year, she went into renal failure. She had a crisis in her kidneys. That caused us a week in intensive care.
The Children's Hospital at Memorial has specialized care for sickle cell, care that follows a child throughout their life. The Richardsons know that.
We had great nurses and doctors to kind of reassure us and sit down and explain things to us.
Hayden Kirkpatrick didn't need just a great doctor. She needed a highly specialized pediatric endocrinologist, like the one who practices only at the Children's Hospital at Memorial. In most newborns, the thyroid forms at the base of the tongue and then floats into a butterfly position in their neck. Hayden Kirkpatrick's didn't do that.
It controls the bone development, it controls brain, it controls, everything in their system for growing.
Congenital hypothyroidism used to be the most common cause of preventable mental retardation in the Western world.
At 8 days old, home and healthy, the hospital where she was born called the Kirkpatricks with alarming news about Hayden's blood work and the need to act fast.
She would be mentally retarded, if we did not treat this as early as we did.
Immediate intervention began, and today Hayden is treated by Dr. Alan Rice.
Pediatric endocrinologists take care of problems that are either rare and that other doctors don't have much experience taking care of, and the children with these conditions require special expertise.
Dr. Rice is the only pediatric endocrinologist in the area. His knowledge means that babies born here will not live a life in mental darkness. They'll live lives like Hayden, whose family moved to Savannah because of Dr. Rice's expertise.
That's why we chose Savannah.
The Kids Only campaign will ensure that children like Rachel and Samuel and Jackson and Sydney and Hayden are treated near their home, near their family and friends. The Children's Hospital at Memorial is the only place for sick kids from Charleston to Jacksonville. And thanks to your generosity, these kids will soon be treated in a bright, cheerful space designed just for them. You can't fix everything in the world. There's just too much. The problems are too deep. But here's a deal you can make with yourself. Take a swing at the ones that cross your path, the ones who look into your eyes. Those you just might be able to fix.
Because it had been such a hard day, I did not want to go. And she finally, it had been such a hard day, I did not want to go. You can be assured about that I'm going to take care of him just like it was my own child. That I'm going to take care of him just like it was my own child.
It's too late. If treatment is delayed until there are obvious symptoms of it, it's too late. Brain damage has already occurred.